it's a 6-speed manual with a about 60,000 miles. So it has 96,000 kilometers. Not, so it wasn't driven that much. And it was, my wife really enjoyed it. The story pretty much starts out is we were moving to a smaller home, and there was no parking where we were going. So it's not much of a commuter car in California, and we lived next to CNC. I mean, the next exit down. And so I drove by CNC for the last 5 years, from work, and the dealership was relatively, is established, and you guys have probably seen it online, but if you haven't, it's pretty much a supercar, sports car, high-end dealership, and they had a pretty good reputation at the time. So what's interesting about my story, and there's about 57 of us now, and I'm waiting for my DMV investigation reports before I can get on the normal guy supercar log. He needs that number for me to join. But I put my car in the Auto Trader, which is, here in the States is what we use to sell it personally. And I put it in on August 27th on 2020. And August 28th, I got a call from CNC Motors saying, hey, we see your car. It looks like it's something we could sell. Are you interested in selling it? And I talked to my wife, and she says, yeah, that if anyone can sell it, they're the ones that sell, Ferraris, Porsches, Lamborghinis, and we don't have to deal with it because we're moving. The house is going to be, a lot of work for us right now. So I took it over there on the 29th of August, and they're real adamant about bringing the title and the registration and all that. So I was, it was an established dealership, and I thought there was going to be no issues with that. We never signed the title, by the way. So we sat down, we fill out the consignment, and the consignment works at CNC is you tell them the price you want, and anything they sell above that price, they're going to keep that money. So my car, I wanted $20,500. I think they got me down a little bit. I said 21.5, and he says, can you go down a little bit? I said, okay, I'll go down 1,000. So that they said, so I could make some profit. Well, they're really greedy bastards, as you guys can all see. They had no intentions of paying me anyway. I think they were starting to go under at that time, personally. So we filled out the paperwork and all that, and dropped the car off. I remember my wife picking me up, and they were like, go into the showroom, you can totally look at the cars and everything, and it seemed like a pretty legitimate business. So I checked the website a lot, and my car was on that website all the way up until probably 3 weeks ago. So it was listed at 26,900 on their website. So they're going to make some money, which I have no problem with them making money. What happened was, which is interesting, is we had moved a couple times and really lost contact, but I kept checking the website throughout these 7-month period, and the car was there, so I thought no problem. When you go back and you look at the DMV records, which is the Department of Motor Vehicles here in the States, it shows that the car was sold on October 31st. So I dropped it off on August 29th. It's sold on October 31st. And then it got a new title issued on December 7th. And it got new registration, of course. And we never got a call from them. We never got an email from them. We never got any type of information telling us that the car is sold. And the contract says, and when they sit you down, they say, if we get any offers, we'll call you. If we sell the car, of course we'll call you. They had no intentions, in my mind, that they were ever going to pay us the 57 victims, and there's probably more, because you hear the horror stories where my car was free and clear. I didn't have a loan on it. It's probably was the most inexpensive car in the lot, a 996 Porsche. But it's the principle that they were going to rip us off. That whole debacle. I got a call this past Monday. I should say I got a text, and from my friend, my son's partner, Corey, and he knew that the car was there. He says, hey, that CNC's gone under. I just found out. And he says, you should go get your car. So this is kind of an interesting part of the story is on my way to work that Monday morning, just 4 or 5 days ago, I left early so that I could get there early. I knew they didn't open until 10. And in the back of your mind, there's this shock going on and like, what are they doing? And the car's probably gone, but I'm going to have some type of confrontation. So while I'm traveling, past there, because I go past there for work, I called the Upland Police Department. And right away they said, when I said CNC Motors, they said, go to the DMV, there's nothing we can do. And the dispatcher, Stephanie, I asked her, I said, well, before I hang up with you, I'm a little concerned about confrontation. And maybe you should be concerned that I might beat his ass right there. So is it possible to have the police meet me there? And she says, you know what, we can do that. It's called a keep the peace. And I said, well, that would be great, Stephanie, because I'd hate to, have him take a swing at me or vice versa and not have somebody there to prove what happened. So as it worked out, as we got closer to the dealership, I called her back, and they dispatched an officer. He was totally cool. We weren't able to get into the parking lot, so we parked outside of the parking lot, but told him the situation, and he knew all about it. They've been having calls for the last 4 or 5 months, maybe 2 months. But we walked up, and we walked down to the dealership door. It looked, there was 5 cars in there. When I left my car on consignment, there was hundreds of cars in there, and they were, all over the parking lot, and it was like empty. So he took down, the officer took down my information. What was interesting is, as we started to walk back up towards our car on the street, I see it was either a Ferrari or a Lamborghini come up, and it was either Clay or one of the salespeople. And as he pulled up, he saw the cop and me waiting for him, and turned around in the street because he was going to come to work. And he turned around, did a U-turn, and as he looked at me, I had my contract in my hand like this, and I was like, "Hey, what the fuck's going on? Like, where's my car?" And he just took off. And I hope I scared the shit out of him, Shane, at least, because I think that hardly anyone showed up with the police officer, because most of them, the police told them that they're not going to show up to help them retrieve the car. But when I told them there's a problem with keep the peace, that there might be some confrontation there, it worked out well. At least I got a little bit of satisfaction out of my 20,000. That's a long time. So I gave it to the salesperson, unsigned. So now that the title's gone, it's got some new signature, and that's the hard part too. Is Shane is like, I don't think any of us really trust that the DMV is going to do anything. I mean, maybe if the dollar figure gets high enough, maybe there's some federal offenses in there. So that and then if you look up forgery in the state of California, the minimum sentence or prison time is 18 months to 2 years. But I don't know if that'll stick, because we part of our problem in our group, that all of us that are in the same boat, is that we took our car there, so we can't say that it's stolen, because now it's stolen a white collar crime. They definitely stole it, behind our backs, so to speak, but they didn't come to our house and steal our cars. Yeah, it doesn't say that in here. What's interesting though, at the bottom, it says failure of the consignee, which is CNC Motorsports, to comply with the terms of this agreement may be in violation of a statute which could result in criminal or administrative sanctions, or both. So, I mean, obviously he never paid us. So, there's one thing. He sold it without contacting or notifying us. So that's interesting as well. But yeah, some of us kept the titles and didn't turn them over. So I'm sure if I would have been more aware of, if I would have had probably a $100,000 car, I probably would have been really reluctant to turn the title over. Not that my car is not worth anything, but you just trust that dealership because you've been driving by it for 5 years. And when I read some of the comments on my page, it says, "Why didn't you keep the title? Why didn't you keep the title?" and I agree 100% with them, but why didn't the dealership keep the agreement? Yeah, so my wife and I are looking into that. The thing with the lawyer is as soon as we get the lawyer and spend that money, he just could claim bankruptcy, and then because so really what we need to happen is the DMV to say it's a criminal activity, and then go after him for a criminal activity. The civil stuff is just not gonna. It's not going to be anything that's going to pay off for us. For most people, is that what we're hearing that are victims. And then you have the victims that have the car with no title. The way my brain works is that since we're not going to get any, probably not going to get any, money back or our cars back, and we may just be all screwed. Is maybe if we get Clay to agree upon a boxing match so that it's all legal, and then we just all go at him and we get to punch his face in for about 5-10 rounds and all over the different victims. And then we raise money, we put it on your channel, we put it on the supercar, normal guy supercar channel, and all that money goes to the victims, so that's one of my solutions, is at least that we get some publicity, positive, and turn around for the small guys like us and gals that lost either our car or we don't have a title. He'll never do that because in my opinion, I think he was he's a thief and a coward, and he's gone. Have all your subscribers hit the like button on this thing if they want to see the boxing match where we get to smash Clay's head in. So that's where you get some more likes and more subscribers if you want to see that. And I'll talk to you soon. Look forward to seeing you.